Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Vinyl Saints, where every riff gets worshipped in stained glass. And tonight, we're turning it up to 11. That's right, we're diving into the loudest band that never really was, but somehow still is. It's Spinal Tap. I'm JC3, and I got Big Joe in the booth. Joe, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Again, we are turning it up to 11. Big Joe, listen, the Spinal Tap movie came out in 1984. I was not alive then.
No, you weren't.
So tell us about your first experiences with Spinal Tap, going to see it, if you did see it in theater, and whatnot, what your reception and how the reception of the movie was back in 1984.
To be honest with you, the movie sucked. I'm not going to sit there and bullshit you. It really didn't do well in the theaters, so there was really not much to it. It wasn't until it hit cable that it actually became something, and it became a cult classic at that point. Mm-hmm. Now, it's funny because that movie, basically, if you talk to some rock stars, that's not a movie, that's a documentary.
Okay.
Of their own personal.
Yeah.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, once I discovered it, on cable, I enjoyed it. I bought the album. The music wasn't really that good. It was meant to be a goof. It was kind of like the forerunner of Steel Panther.
Okay. Move over to your right a little bit, please.
It was kind of like that. That was the whole thing. Not as risque as Steel Panther, but nonetheless, it was still,
yes,
in that genre.
Well, let's just put it like this. Dad, as you can see, he's wearing the goofy ass hat today. But hey, now it's a good hat. Don't take it off. Stop. All right. So in 1984, This Is Spinal Tap dropped like a Marshall stack off the back of a truck. It was a fake documentary, a parody of a heavy metal band. But the thing is, it hit too close to home. Every exploding drummer, every ridiculous stage prop, every pretentious lyric, it all felt real, and musicians knew it. Bands from Sabbath to Metallica admitted, yeah, that's us. And here's why Spinal Tap matters right now. Because after 41 years, they're back. Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, hits theater on September 12th, 2025. The trailer shows Derek, Nigel, and David trying to reunite one last time. Nigel's doing pub folk shows. David's in a mariachi band. Derek's shilling for crypto. And of course, Marty DeBurgi, there is with his camera to catch every disaster. But here's the kicker. This isn't just a fan service reunion. There are cameos stacked higher than an arena speaker tower. People from Paul McCartney, Elton John, Questlove, Garth Brooks, Trisha Yearwood. It's absurd, it's over the top, and that's exactly the point. Spinal Tap wasn't a joke. They held up a mirror to rock and roll's ego, and the reflection was hilarious because it was true. Turn up to 11 is not just a catchphrase, is it, Dad?
No, not really. This one goes to 11.
Yes. It became part of our culture. Anytime you push something beyond the limit, you're quoting Spinal Tap. Whether you know it or not, you are.
You are. It's, it's there. Everybody has said that at least, 100 times in their lives. Now, I mean, I really want to talk about the music and the musicianship because these guys actually played on their album. They played. Mike McKean really played. Harry Shearer really played the bass, and Chris Guest also. The guy who played Viv Savage just recently passed about a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I don't think he was even in
the new movie.
Yeah, in the new release. I think he might have been ill or whatever. I know Questlove comes in and he sits in for. I don't know if he, of course the movie's not out yet, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but...
so we'll figure it out when the movie comes out in September. Real quick, some questions because again. This is a movie, I mean, I've seen it maybe once or twice. I've never really, paid attention to this movie.
You walked in on me about 20 minutes ago when I was watching it.
That's true. I have listened to the music, Make My Left Pump and all that. Funny-ass song. You're right. The Spinal Tap was the precursor to me to Steel Panther.
Steel Panther, absolutely.
So it is such a absurd movie, but at the same time, we all know this is what bands go through. But what's the most Spinal Tap thing you've actually seen a real band do?
I can't say. I mean, because, this is more of a Spinal Tap, what they've done on tour, what they've done behind the scenes, like Getting Lost in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. How many people have now quoted that thing? Hello, Cleveland. Hello, Cleveland. Rock and roll. These are things that we all said it. You can really quote, you can watch any band, and if there's a goof, it's a Spinal Tap moment.
Okay. You don't have any, specific...
No, I'm not privy to anything these guys have done backstage or whatever. I'm sure there's stories out there.
Even on stage? You've never been to a show, you're like, wow, that's a Spinal Tap moment.
Well, no, because these were really over the top. I mean, when you have a, if I may, You had a Stonehenge prop that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
Yeah.
That's I don't remember anything like that happening. I mean, there's been mishaps on stage, props fall or whatever, stuff malfunction. Gene Simmons lit his hair on fire when he did the flame eating part.
True. That's true.
Okay,
that really did happen. All right. If you had to pick, who was more ridiculous, Spinal Tap with their Stonehenge, or some of the real bands we listened to back in the day?
I'm going to stay. I'll stay with Spinal Tap because they made it real. They made it look real. Again, I'm not privy to inside information on any of these bands, what they may or may not done behind the closed doors. This movie just absolutely, when you think of the stuff, when you stop and think the shit that they did in this movie and how rock stars and bands have literally stopped and said, you know what, that may be in a movie, but that was our lives. So they really, really hit home with this film. So I'm going to say that a lot of stuff that's in that movie, gave these bands pause,
All right, so let's get into the origins. So the origins, this was created by Christopher Guest, who played Nigel Tufnell, Michael McKean, David St. Hubbins, and Harry Shearer, who played Derek Smalls. It was directed by Rob Reiner, who is Marty DeBurgi. It was released in 1984. The premise is a mockumentary following a British rock heavy metal band whose career is on the decline. The stylized satirized the excess of 70s, 80s rock bands, costumes, stage shows, and the self-importance of these bands, to themselves.
Right.
The drummer curse. Talk about the drummer curse, Dad.
The drummer curse is basically any drummer that they had would wind up dead, whether he exploded behind the drum kit or somebody else vomited in his mouth and he died, or there was a million different ways.
You have exploding on stage,
right?
You have choking on vomit, but not their own,
right?
Spontaneous combustion,
right?
A disappearance. This became one of the film's most quoted bits and a symbol of rock's unpredictability. So that's funny of its own self.
And what's really good that made this a little bit more fun for me? I don't remember what his name was in the movie, the one drummer that actually exploded. He was like the long-term drummer. He was in most of the movie. He was actually the drummer for a band called Atomic Rooster back in the day. Atomic Rooster had a song called The Killing Floor, later to be stolen by Led Zeppelin.
We're going to get back to Led Zeppelin.
Well, I'm just saying, how all these things are relative and how all they're all together. It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Well, here are the Spinal Tap drummers. Ready?
Go ahead.
So the film in the main canon in 1984. This is John Stumpy Pepys. Died in a bizarre gardening accident.
And it was better left, the authorities said it was better left to be unsolved.
Yes. Eric Stumpy Joe Childs choked on his vomit, choked on vomit. Peter James Bond, the spontaneous combustion on stage. Mick Shrimpton.
Mick Shrimpton's the guy I'm talking about.
He explodes on stage during the climax of the film.
Right.
Later additions, expanded Spinal Tap lore and live shows. Joe Mama Besser.
Yeah.
Temporary drummer after Mick's death claimed he was not a big flamboyant stick twirler.
I love this fucking film.
Rick Shrimpton, Mick's identical twin brother who later joined the band, keeping the Shrimpton name alive. Sammy Stumpy Bateman, one of the replacements.
What's with the Stumpies?
One of the replacements mentioned in band lore. And then Jonathan Stumpy Pepys II, a supposed descendant of the original Stumpy. So
hysterical. Oh my God, you can't make this shit up.
You want to hear something really creepy?
Sure.
So apparently, this is years ago. The Foo Fighters teased about barring the curse of the drummer. Is that fucked up or what?
That's not even funny at that point.
No, I mean, this was years ago.
That's actually frightening.
Terrifying.
My God.
So, okay. Let's talk about the music, Dad. Okay?
Yeah.
So songs from the movie.
Big Bottom.
Yes, you have Big Bottom. Tonight, I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight. Stonehenge, and then Hellhole.
Hellhole was actually going to be their biggest. I remember they released it as a 45 and as a 12-inch single, and it came out as a colored vinyl. It came out as a picture disc, and they really pushed Hellhole but the video for Hellhole that they played in the movie was fucking hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. It actually took the movie and shrunk it together in that video, what they went through in that video. Insane.
So they also had worldwide released albums. This is Spinal Tap, the 1984 soundtrack.
Yeah.
Break Like the Wind in 1992, and then Back from the Dead in 2009.
Right.
The actors actually played their instruments live, and they did that on the albums also, apparently.
Yeah, they played. These guys could play. And David St.
How
Hubbins.
fucking dare you? Not in the middle of this episode.
David St. Hubbins. David Hitz, I'm talking like he's a real guy. Chris Guest was really a renowned actor at the time. I mean, he was on, what's the name of that show he was on? It was in the 70s.
Bro, you look at me like I was alive when
I can't think of the name of it. Oh, Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, Laverne
Lenny and
Shirley.
Squiggy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played Lenny. I think he played Lenny.
Well, let's talk about the legacy and influence. Ready? So the cultural catchphrases from this movie are relentless. The biggest one is "Turn it up to 11." It's now a universal phrase for going over the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that means. The mockumentary blueprint, it inspired these projects. It inspired The Office, Parks and Rec, Flight of the Conchords, and even Borat, because these are mockumentary, projects.
Right.
And this is one of the first ever mockumentary style, movies to come out. I don't think there was another type of movie like this beforehand.
No, I don't remember anything being like this.
Musicians like Metallica, Aerosmith, Ozzy Osbourne admitted the parody was too accurate. Real Roadie said it felt like a documentary.
Yeah.
And the Rolling Stones called it the funniest rock movie ever made.
Wow, that's a pretty good compliment from them guys.
Yeah, please move to your right. Right there. Yes, there you go. Now let's talk about the movie, the second one. So the second movie, like we said, released in September 12th. The plot is the band reunites after years apart.
Hold on a minute. There is a second movie. It's called The Return of Spinal Tap in 1992.
That's more like a concert movie, though.
Well, it is, but there is a lot of stuff in there, like a mockumentary type of deal. I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to quote it but it said there's a lot of good stuff in there. I might have to watch that.
Yeah. So the band reunites after years apart for one final concert with Marty DeBurgi filming again. We talked about the cameos. We talked about what Nigel, David, and Derek are doing. The tone basically reflects aging rock stars while keeping their absurd humor alive. Can you name me other rock stars that have aged and tried to keep their gimmick alive? Exclude Ozzy Osbourne, because we all know Ozzy was Ozzy to the day he died.
I think two right off the bat are most obvious, and we did a show about them.
Who?
Kiss and Alice Cooper.
Well, remember, that show has not been talked about or put out because, we didn't have audio in that, so we have to redo that show. But yes, I agree with you. So, Kiss, definitely.
Alice Cooper as well. Alice Cooper is still doing the same show he did.
Is Alice Cooper the same person on stage as he is off stage?
No.
That's what I think this means.
No, he's not.
So,
not
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, I'm not going to talk about the other two because the other two obviously are just fill-ins. Obviously, the other two are fill-ins, right? Mm-hmm. The Catman, Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer, I don't know them enough to realize if they're doing this on stage, same thing they are off stage. But obviously, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are. Right. They've been the same fucking way their entire careers. So are those the only two? Alice Cooper, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, or three?
Judas Priest still doing the leather and stuff. And to me, look, I know that's their shtick. I get it. But to me, I like drop the leather. Enough is enough. Just go play some rock and roll. But Rob Halford is in his 70s now. He comes out with that long.
He's also gay.
I don't care if he's gay or not. That has nothing to do with it. The point is, it's starting to look ridiculous. You're looking like you're Spinal Tap now. To me, anyway. And I love Rob Halford. I love that band. But there's a time you got to put the shit to bed and move on and just let the music speak for itself. And in Priest's case, it will. It would.
Is there something to say about, though, because I understand, they're older and they're feeling whatever the hell they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you're so iconic like Judas Priest and your look matches your music, can't you sit there and go, well, since their look matches their music, why change it to begin with?
You can, and that's what they're counting on. But my opinion is, it's a matter of believability at this point.
Well, I have a question. Would you say that about AC/DC?
Pretty much. The only over-the-top AC/DC thing ever done was what the guitar player there with the Little Lord Fauntleroy outfit.
Yeah, and he still comes out on stage with that.
Right.
But everybody knows they're going to see AC/DC, and
Right.
they want him to be in that outfit.
Okay, I'll give you that much. But to me, it's like with Priest, they're way over the top now. I don't buy it no more. I don't believe that. And again, it doesn't hurt that I'm the same age as they are.
You are.
So now I'm
old as
thinking
fuck.
what I would do for me, and how I would say, and how I can't come across as I used to come across. I don't even try anymore because it's pointless. You start looking like a caricature of yourself. And Bon Jovi said it right. John Bon Jovi once said, he goes, when you try to be a rock star, past being a rock star, you're starting to look like a cartoon of yourself. You're $1 short, a day late. That's what it comes down to. And that's my opinion. Now again, with Spinal Tap, it's a show.
Well, it's. I mean, so
it's
Kiss.
not a real band. It's a show.
I mean, Kiss is a real band, but Kiss is a show more than it is the music.
Okay, there's an argument there. There's an argument, but again, you asked me about trying to keep their persona so many years later, and they're doing it. That's what they do. With Kiss, it is a show. It's an event. Same thing with Cooper. I can't say that about Priest. I just can't.
Oh, okay. So here's some fun facts and some trivia. Ready?
Yeah.
So the Stonehenge prop, the prop mix-up, it was 18 inches tall instead of 18 feet tall, was inspired by a real-life mistake Black Sabbath once had. And here is that mistake. So 1983, Black Sabbath with Ian Gillan went on tour for their album. What was their album in 1983?
Born Again.
The stage design included a Stonehenge replica as a prop. The band wanted something dramatic, but the designer misunderstood the size request. Instead of making it stage-sized, he built a massive, life-size Stonehenge that couldn't literally fit into venues. So they had a gigantic set piece, had to be left out of the show entirely. And This Is Spinal Tap, the gag, obviously, it was 18 feet. That was supposed to be 18 feet tall. It was 18 inches tall. The Tiny Dwarves then danced around it while performing the song. It was widely believed that this was connected, this was directly by the Black Sabbath incident, except inverted. Obviously, Black Sabbath is too big, right. Tap is too small.
That was funny too because it would both of that would have to come at a pivotal time in both their careers. Because in the movie, they're sitting around and they're trying to figure out what they can do they got the drubs. I think that's what he called it, the drubs. They were not selling tickets anymore. They were being canceled at the hotel.
Yeah.
And so they were sitting around, and I remember distinctly Chris Guest said, Stonehenge, we could do Stonehenge. And then he took a little thing and he wrote on it. He designed a little Stonehenge, and on the side, he put 18 quotes. That's 18 inches. And didn't get that till, a couple of weeks later. I went back to watch the movie again, and sure enough, he wrote 18 inches.
Yeah, that's I caught that the first time I saw it.
It's wild. It really was wild.
The film was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant.
Okay.
Spinal Tap has played real concerts, including Live Earth in 2007, and Harry Shearer, who was Derek Smalls, went on to voice dozens of Simpsons characters: Mr. Burns, Smithers, Principal Skinner, Ned Flanders. Sorry.
Huh?
I love the little editing on. So let's talk about behind the film. The improvised dialogue. Most of this is Spinal Tap was improvised. The actors had a loose outline but made up the lines as they went, which is why it feels so natural. The critical reception, 1984, it was not a big box office hit. Critics loved it, though. Over time, it became a cult classic. It's now considered one of the greatest comedies ever made. We talked about the drummer curse, the real-life music career. They toured in the late 80s and the 90s, performing songs from the movie. So this is real-life Spinal Tap moments from other bands. We talked about the Black Sabbath one. Kiss had their stage setups were so over the top that crew members would sometimes get lost in props. The Who in 1967, Keith Moon once blew up his drum kit on TV. The blast injured Pete Townshend's ear and singed his hair. Uriah Heep had a stage effect with a giant inflatable spider, which collapsed mid-show onto the crowd.
Now I gotta see. This is what I want. I want to bring this point out now. I want to anybody's listening and whoever out there listening to this stuff. Now Uriah Heep, I mean, they've been through so many lead singers at this point. I think there's only two guys have been mainstays, Ken Hensley and Mick Box. I think they're the only two guys that have been there forever. But I think one of them died recently. Anyway, to me, I don't understand why bands need props. I don't. And the bands that don't need props are normally the greatest bands of all time. Deep Purple never used a prop. Never. Led Zeppelin never used a prop.
Well, Led Zeppelin stole stuff from people, so.
I'm not talking about that. That's a different subject. Black Sabbath had to have elaborate stage setups, even as far up as when they were touring as Heaven and Hell. Okay? I just don't understand the theatrics behind it.
Okay.
Well, I never did. No.
So you want to get into the stage prop or stage production? Are we talking about stage production or props in general?
Just props that have nothing to do with the music at hand.
Okay. Well, stage production. So let's talk about Deep Purple in particular.
Please do.
So in the early 70s, the Mach 2 lineup, which is Machine Head, made in Japan era.
Right.
Very minimal stage production. The focus was Ritchie Blackmore's guitar, John Lord's Hammond, and sheer volume. Their prop was just the Marshall stacks. Okay, That's what their prop is. In mid to late 70s, the Mach 3, Mach 4 lineups, and as arena rock got flashier, they started using pyrotechnics and smoke machines.
Okay, well, so did Mark II.
Okay. Blackmore was infamous for smashing and burning his guitars, which became its own stage spectacle. 1984.
See Cal Jam too.
Okay. 1984 reunion, the Perfect Strangers tour. They added big light rigs and elaborate backdrops to compete with the 1980s arena shows. Some tours had giant video screens with cosmic space imagery behind the band.
Okay.
That's a prop on its own.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, when you got to bring, like when Sabbath had to bring out a big Stonehenge, okay, you didn't need that. When Sabbath had to come out with the stage just like the outside of a church, complete with the gates and the big stained glass window, nothing to do with the music. It sets a tone, I get it. But I'm always of the ilk that if the music is good enough, you don't need the shit. You don't.
I don't think it comes down to where they need the props or they need the distractions from the music. Like you could sit there and say, well, all these bands and all these pop stars, they all have these, dancers around them because their music's not bad. Their music's not good.
Okay.
That's not true. It's a show. It's a spectacle.
Well, you know what? Some of that's true. Some of it's not. Blackie Lawless once said after Chris Holmes was hit in the head with a piece of meat and it almost killed him, a piece of frozen meat on stage and almost killed him. He went backstage. He goes, if we only wrote better songs, we wouldn't have to put up this shit, to do this shit. So,
well, I understand that, but that doesn't mean every time you sit there and have someone, they're using this or using that. That doesn't mean their music is bad. They're just
I am not saying that at all. I'm not saying their music is bad at all. What I am saying is, to me, I just think it's a little over the top. It's just that's just how I feel at this point. I mean, I don't.
Okay. Well, thank you, I guess.
Well, you asked to give me a question. Give me an answer.
Look, so here's the bottom line.
Stone Cold said so.
Fuck you. Spinal Tap may have started as a joke, but they ended more real than half the bands they were making fun of. They gave us exploding drummers, tiny Stonehenge, and amps that go to 11. And somehow that's rock and roll into purest form. 41 years later, they're still here. And with Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, which I love, by the way, hitting theaters in September, we get one last ride that parody ages better than ego. Here on Vinyl Saints, we don't care if it's parody, prog, or power chords. If it shakes the stained glass, it belongs in the chapel. And Spinal Tap, they're saints now. So crank your dial past 10, grab your dwarfs, and don't forget to check your drummer's life insurance policy. I'm JC3, that's Big Joe. This is Vinyl Saints. Remember, all riffs are holy, but only a few are eternal. All hail the riffs.
Hey, fellow truth seekers. Want to take your love for the Is This Real podcast to the next level? Check out our exclusive merchandise line designed for curious minds like yours in mind. From comfy tees and hoodies to stylish mugs and accessories, our merchandise is the best way for you to show your passion for unraveling the mysteries of the fucking universe. Visit our online store at isthisrealpc.com and gear up to explore the universe in style. Don't just listen, wear your curiosity with pride with Is This Real podcast merchandise.
Hey there, fellow truth seekers. Are you ready to dive deep into the mysteries of the universe? Look no further than IsIsraelPC.com, your one-stop destination for all things mysterious and unexplained. From captivating podcast episodes to thought-provoking articles, our website is packed with fascinating content that will leave you questioning reality. Visit IsIsraelPC.com today and join our community of curious minds as we explore the unknown together. Don't just wonder, discover the truth today at IsIsraelPC.com.